Hi, and welcome to our webinar. You are likely, if you're here, one of those entrepreneurs out there who is a superpower and out there putting your genius into the world, but has a little bit of a struggle around the finances in your business. And let me tell you, you've come to the right place. I hope you hang on with me here so that I can give you the same confidence that we give entrepreneurs every single day, that understanding this finance pillar in their business and unleashing cash in their business is something that you can do as well. And it's not boring and it's not complicated. In fact, it's even a little bit of fun. That's me there on the first page in my totally suited up self. I used to work in industry. And then over here is how I play with my clients and the fun that we have while we're working on finance. So let's jump right into this. Take a second, if you would, and introduce yourself. I will do that a little bit later in the program, but I'm very curious to know what your name is, what your business is, where you're located, how long you've been in business, and maybe the particular question or problem or issue or opportunity that drew you to today's event. And I just want to jump in right now with a little bit of housekeeping, nothing dramatic. First of all, everybody's on mute, so feel free to yell at the screen if I say something that annoys you. There are no magic bullets in what I'm about to show you today, but you know that, besides bullets hurt, right? This is not a product demo. I need to say that because I want you to hang on here and learn a couple things you can take back with you today to put in place in your business and not have to wait and buy a product or anything like that. So the one thing I do ask you to do, that's probably the hardest thing I'm going to ask of you, is that you suspend your current beliefs about the finances in your business. They're not much fun anyway, I'm guessing, so go ahead and suspend them and come on a little ride with me today to show that finance might be able to be a little bit of fun. And if you hang on till the end, and I see that you've hung on to the end, there is going to be a free gift for you. So see presents for you if you stay till the end. So with finance, bribery is always acceptable, see? And I do commit to you that this is going to positively change the way you feel about the finances in your business. And just imagine being that 6 or 7 figure business owner, the one who actually makes it from 6 to 7 figures and doesn't hate and dread their finances along the way. So grab a coffee mug, a glass of wine, tea, beer, whatever it takes for you to get through finances. We're going to make this fun. Here we go. We're going to dive right in. What we're going to cover today are a few things. Going to do some quick introductions. I'm going to do a little gut check with you on whether your business is a business or a hobby. That's really important here because we need to decide right at the outset if you're in this business to make money. And I know that might sound obvious to some, but there are a lot of us who do some things around our passion that's not intended necessarily to make money. We're doing it for other value that we get. And that value is equal to us or as good to us as money. So we need to know which of these this is. This is really only for businesses driving to make money. We're going to get into the secrets that bookkeepers and accountants don't tell you, which will be very interesting, and it's all about the cash that's sitting in there inside those financial reports you probably already get. Or if you're one of those folks that still has your receipts in a shoebox, and there are a few of those out there, and that's nothing to be ashamed of because a lot of businesses, in fact one that I recently saw and helped sell for 8 figures, started out with their receipts in a shoebox. But there's cash hiding in their shoebox, and there's cash hiding in the financials that your bookkeepers and accountants see. I'm going to show you some steps you can implement today painlessly to set yourself up to double or triple your business in 3 years. This is the kind of stuff that has to be in place, and it doesn't have to be as miserable as people say it is in order to grow your business. We're also going to make sure how you can insist that your finances are serving you instead of the other way around, so that you can do a couple things. Pay down your credit as quickly as possible and start returning your cash to you, which is the whole point of this business. So join me here. We're going to get to know your cash flow. We're going to talk about how to confidently grow your business and help you stop losing sleep over your finances. I want to start here with advice from a client of mine, and I've heard her say this to a number of people, and it is that if you're a real entrepreneur and not a hobbyist, which is why I asked that question on the last slide, you need to grow from thinking that your finances are a big waste of time to knowing they can and should be the best time, the most fun time that you spend on your business. And she notes that I lead the way there painlessly and with a great sense of humor and compassion. And the biggest thing that I teach my clients is that they deserve for their finances to make sense to them. You deserve for your finances to make sense to you, not just to your bookkeeper and accountant. So this is a client that I've been with who is a personality brand some of you may know. Recently on the Inc. 5000 as the number 285 fastest growing business list, and this year selected as the E&Y Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. So this is someone who has gone from receipts in a shoebox to an extremely successful 8-figure business. So you're in the right place if, okay, this is the, you might be a redneck if. No, you're in the right place if. We're going to do a little gut check here and go over some of the things that may have driven you to join me here today. You're in the right place if you feel like your debt is insurmountable and that you're never going to climb out. You're in the right place if you've wondered if all the money you've already spent in your business has just been wasted. And we've all spent a lot of money learning things like marketing and investing in our own training and investing in people to help us. You may be wondering if it's completely wasted. You're in the right place if you really have no idea when and where your next dollar of revenue is going to come from. You're in the right place if you feel a little bit like an imposter as a business owner because you just can't keep up with what others are saying about finances. You know the terms, you've heard the terms, but you're not always comfortable in those conversations. You're in the right place if you wish there was just one night that you could go to sleep without tossing and turning over money worries. You're in the right place if you've hit all your credit card limits, you don't know where the next dollar is coming from to invest in this dream of yours. You're in the right place if every now and then you wonder whether or not you should just pack it all in and go back to that 9-to-5 job, even though you know you're meant for this work. So if any of this sounded like you, the really important thing I want to get to you, here's the good news. We just talked about all those lousy feelings, but here's the good news. None of those is the real problem, right? That's how you feel, but those aren't the real problem. What's the real problem? The real problem is simply that you're lacking some business financial literacy. So it's really difficult, if not impossible, to understand and change the financial situation you're in. And on top of all that, you're probably thinking it's way too boring or complicated to learn. So, what's the real problem? You're lacking business financial literacy. Oh, we just went through that. In lacking business financial literacy, you're frightened you're going to hit all your credit card limits and possibly run out of cash, or that you have cash flow. It's a positive cash flow, but you fear that it's all going to come crashing down on you. We've come up with a term for that. You're lacking F.L.A.R.E. Instead of business financial literacy, we came up with F.L.A.R.E. You're lacking fun with finance like a rockstar entrepreneur. Say it with me, business F.L.A.R.E. Everybody in business, if they're in business for a profit, even not for profit, but not just as a hobby, but to generate the money that's needed to keep the engine running, needs to have F.L.A.R.E. Fun with finance like a rockstar entrepreneur, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Because with F.L.A.R.E., you'll know how much money you're going to have in the bank account each week. You're going to know where that money's coming from. You'll be able to make decisions that will get you out of that debt that's driving you crazy and grow your bank balance. You'll learn a process that's really simple to understand, really simple to put in place, and really simple to keep current. And you'll be using a method, you'll be learning a method to get there that has been tried and tested in hundreds of companies of all sizes. And you're going to dramatically decrease that motion sickness we all get on the entrepreneur's roller coaster, and you'll finally be able to sleep at night without worrying about money. In short, you're going to have a whole new level of confidence in your business, which in truth, if you're here today with me, that business is also in part your dream, and we want to give you that confidence. So who am I to talk about all this? Who am I to help you get that confidence? Well, I've worked in Fortune 500 companies for 25 years. I realized 6 years ago that that environment was way too uptight for me and the way I wanted to do things. So, because I've been working ever since then to bring this flair to small businesses by doing a number of things over the last few years. I've led entrepreneurs onto the Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies list, onto the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year finalist lists. I've co-piloted a startup to a sale for high 8 figures. I've authored a best-selling book published by a New York publisher, making F.L.A.R.E. accessible to every entrepreneur who has an Amazon account or access to a bookstore. I've been speaking internationally, hosting the Cash Flow podcast, and working one-on-one with 7- and 8-figure personality brand entrepreneurs as their go-to friend in the finance foxhole, sort of their right hand when it comes to finances. So I don't say all this to brag. I say all this because I want you to be comfortable that you're working or listening to someone who really has been through the paces of finance and accounting in large businesses, where it often is boring and complicated, but who's worked very hard to translate all of that really important information and make it accessible to small businesses and entrepreneurs. And that's what I've been doing for these last 6 years. And the results have been tremendous. So one of the things that I think a lot of entrepreneurs start off with is that bookkeepers and accountants are telling you that you just have to accept and understand what they give you, just like it is. They're the experts. They're going to give you what you need. They're going to do what you need. But here's the rub. That's a lie. Number one, finance doesn't need to be complicated and boring. Number two, you deserve to easily understand everything you need to know about your business finances. Results are what is important that I deliver for you here. And in this, you're going to learn 3 things you can demand from your bookkeepers and accountants. Typical results when you listen through this whole webinar and implement what I'm teaching will come in the form of 1, knowing how much cash you're going to have and when you should use it, finding out where the cash is hiding in your financial reports and how to access it, and be able to implement bookkeeping and accounting that costs less and provides you more value than you ever imagined it could. So that's what we're going to do here today. So let's jump into it. Let's dive into that training. Just a quick reminder, what we're going to do here is give you the fundamentals of what you need to have fun with finance like a rock star entrepreneur. So, as a business owner, and you and I are both entrepreneurs, so you need to know that I understand this from the entrepreneur's perspective as well. There are 3 things that matter. Cash equals value, numbers only matter if they matter, and you need a spotlight out there. And I'm going to go into detail on all 3 of those, but what we're talking about here is that cash is what makes you able to do what you do. You need to understand the numbers that you get and what they mean for you. And it's a lot easier than folks make it out to be. And you need to be able to look ahead and see what's coming. So let's start with the first one, cash, right? How do we put $1 into our business and get $5 back? That's what this is all about. So let's talk about that for a minute, because one of the things that actually gets people hung up a little bit is asking for money for what they're doing. So let's talk about that for a second. You have a superpower. You're here listening to this webinar because you have some superpower that you're putting out there into the world, adding value to other people, right? So what's our job? In order to get that superpower out there to the world, we need to get some cash. We get cash a couple different ways. We invest cash in our business, or we do some really good Facebook advertising that pays for itself and makes us money, or we borrow money, any number of ways to get cash. But the bottom line is, because you have a superpower, you don't need a whole lot of cash to work with your superpower. You take, let's just say $1, put it together with your superpower, and you shake it up and you make your magic and get it ready to go out to the world. Once you've done that, you're able to get it out there to your potential clients, right? For $1. Because you have a superpower, because you can do something faster, better, more clearly than anybody else can, it only takes $1 to add to it, shake it up, and get it out there to your clients. And guess what? When you do that, because they can't do whatever that thing is, faster, better, more accurately, they're willing to pay $5 for it. Not because you're getting something out of them unfairly or greed, but because for them to have done it themselves, it would have cost them $5 in time, money, in whatever the exchange is for that $5. So then you get that $5 of cash back into your business, and guess what? You can now do 5 times as much as you could do when you started. And this is a really neat spiral, right? So let's take an example of something I don't have a superpower of, and let's say it's marketing. I need marketing help because I'm not a marketer. But there are people out there whose superpower is marketing. So they can, whereas it would take me 6 months and 3 people and a lot of wasted money to figure out the best way to construct a Facebook ad campaign, there's somebody out there who can do that for $1, and I'm willing to pay $5 for it because number 1, they're going to do it the right way. Number 2, they're going to do it more quickly. And number 3, it's going to be more successful than if I did it myself. So that's how we take $1 and turn it into 5. It's by magnifying with our superpower. All right, so let's move on to the second thing. Now that we've talked about cash and we know what we need it for and where it goes, the next thing is to know where it is in your business. Where is it? And when you know where it is, you can get access to it. And the important thing to know here is that decisions are based on knowledge, not numbers. So a lot of times what happens with bookkeepers and accountants is we get reports, pages full of numbers, and there's nothing in those numbers we can connect to, right? So there's no knowledge buried in those numbers. There's only a page full of numbers. So let's talk a little bit about that, because when you get reports, when you get numbers from your accountant or bookkeeper, I want you to know what you're looking at, but in plain entrepreneur speak. So in basic entrepreneur speak, the one report that everybody knows about, and that's why I'm going to speak about it here. We learn about, there's information that I have available on my website on the other financial statements that you get. But this is the most common one, although I would say not the most important one. It is the most common one that people tend to talk about. So let's get you up to speed on what the terminology is here. And it's really only 5 things. And there's 5 things that you've heard the official terms for, and then there's the basic entrepreneur speak interpretation of those things, so that you can be comfortable in having conversations about this. So there is revenue, which is the money we get for selling stuff. There's cost of sales, which is what we have to spend to provide what we sell. There's what's called gross profit. Well, guess what? There's nothing tricky here. It's just math. It's revenue minus the cost of sales. Then you have what's called fixed expenses, and the plain English term for that is what we spend to keep the lights on. And then you have net income, which, again, there's nothing major here. It's just math. So you have only 5 terms you need to learn, and here we have the 5 English-speaking entrepreneur speak terms for what each of those mean. Revenue, cost of sales, gross profit, fixed expenses, and net income. And let's just go very quickly through what those are. But first off, none of it matters. None of any of that information matters unless you translate it into knowledge. Unless you're able to look at it and know what that's telling you about what levers to pull in your business, what changes to initiate in your business, or what decisions to make in your business. I'll just say again, if it's just a sheet of numbers, it doesn't do you any good. So it doesn't matter unless it's presented to you in a way that suits your learning style. If your learning style is graphic, you should get pictures. If your learning style is reading, you should get numbers. If your learning style is auditory, you should have somebody talking through it with you. The other thing that's really, really important is when you see something from a bookkeeper or accountant, when you see it, If you say, yep, that aligns with what I would have guessed or what I think, or it's in line with what my gut tells me about my business, then that's a good thing. But if you have an uneasy feeling in your gut when you look at the numbers or you look at the reports you're getting, then it just doesn't matter. And last but not least, when you're looking at financial numbers, if it makes your eyes bleed to dig into and find what you need to know in those numbers, it just doesn't matter, because you're not going to look at it. You're going to pick it up, you're going to shove it in a drawer, and you're going to look at it next month. All right, so let's just quickly go through all these terms and talk about what they are very quickly and why they're attached to levers in your business and what levers they're attached to and what you can do about them. This is the real why. This is the only reason at all that you should be looking at your financial numbers. Is just because, it's only if, it's actually providing you information you can use to run your business. So let's talk about revenue. What makes up revenue and what difference can you make in if you know what your revenue number is? All right, so first of all, revenue is associated with some levers in your business, 2 of them specifically and only 2. You have a price, and your levers are that you can raise your price, you can lower your price, you can discount your price. Well, what else can you do? I'm sure you can think of other things that you can do with your price, but that's some examples. The other thing that makes up revenue is quantity. So you can sell more of it, you can sell less of it, you can bundle it, and again, there are other things you can do. So when you see a revenue number, you know that it's equal to, I sold this many of something for that much each. And those are the 2 levers you can play with in your business, how many you sell or how much you sold them for, okay? So that's an easy one. So what's your cost of sales? So with cost of sales now, in order to provide that superpower, that product, that thing you sell, you have to spend some money to provide it. And this is just as simple as revenue. There are only 2 levers that this will point to. So cost of sales, when you see that number, that $4,000 there, you know it's made up of 2 things. How much you spent for each thing you sold. So again, it's 2 things. The first is cost. And what kind of levers can you manage around cost? What decisions can you make in your business around cost? Well, you can buy things in bulk. You can negotiate with costs. You can go to different vendors. You can choose to pay more. If you want to have a high quality product, you can pay more for a product. And the other thing is quantity. How many things does it take to create whatever you sell? So you can do more with less. You can print double-sided on your paper. You could add some services. You could say, you know what, I want to slip a few more services in there for the same price. Or you could remove services from it. We all have seen these plans where they have gold, platinum, or silver, gold, and platinum. And in those schemes, they add or take away more quantity of services. So you have those available to you as well. The next one is so easy, gross profit, right? Nothing to see here. This is just math. Very simply, you're taking the money you've earned for what you've sold minus the money you spent on what you sell. So you've taken your revenue less your cost of sales, and that equals your gross profit. Or another really cool term for this is the contribution margin, because it's the money that's left over after you've sold your product that contributes to you. So you've got revenue minus your cost of sales equals your gross profit, sometimes also known as your contribution margin. So what is your contribution margin and why does it contribute to you? You're made up of the fixed expenses in your business, and here's why it's important. The most important fixed expense in your business is you. This is the money that's left over for you to pay yourself out of. You are one of, if not the most important fixed expense in your business. But it also lets you pay your employees, pay your rent, keep your lights on, pay for insurance, pay for your online training classes, events and travel, internet services, all the stuff that you have to pay for in your business no matter how many sales you make. These are all things you have to do. And the really cool thing about looking at this area of your business and all of your fixed expenses is you always find cash in the cushions here whenever you decide to dig in on it. I do it quarterly, and I always find things I'm still paying for that I'm not using anymore, or something where I'm paying a higher price and I've seen that the price has gone down over time. This is a really important place to look. And then we're left with net income. So we've taken our revenue of $12,000. It cost us $4,000 to generate that revenue. So we had $8,000 left in gross profit or contribution margin. That contributed to covering our fixed expenses. And after all that, we had $3,000 left. That's our net income. And there's nothing here, that's just math. So just to kind of look at it in picture form, let's pretend that that glass there is your fixed costs, and you need to fill that up to pay your fixed costs. And in this particular case, the liquid is the contribution margin or the gross profit, and you can see that it's pouring way more than we're going to need to fill that glass, and it's spilling over the edges. Therefore, we have net income, because we had enough of it to fill that glass up and still have some left over. Now, another situation that's not so awesome is we've got a glass of fixed costs and we've got the liquid pouring into it, but it's not quite filling up that glass of fixed costs. So there's not enough money, there's not enough contribution margin from selling our product to pay all those fixed costs. So that situation we have what's called a net loss. Okay, so I hope that made some sense to you, but let's talk about the value of net income and why it's important. Number one, it's only math. Number two, here's how you calculate it. It's all the money you've made, less all the money you've spent. It equals your net income or your net loss. If you've spent more than you made, you have a net loss. If you've spent less than you made, you have net income. So why does net income matter, though? Well, it matters, again, not because it's a number and not because you can say you have net income, but because of what you can do with it. If you have net income, you can use it to sell more stuff. You can advertise more, you can hire more people. If you've hit your capacity and you can't take on one more client, you can add somebody with net income. If you have net income, you can add somebody to take on that next client for you. You can take some money out of the business over and above your salary and spend it on yourself. You can share it with your team. You could decide to develop another product or service. You could decide to improve your processes. You can pay back your debt. Or what a lot of people do, you can decide to just save it. And I am sure you can think of a bunch of other things you can do with net income. But the bottom line is it really matters. So now let's get to the third of the three things we were going to cover, and that is looking forward in our businesses. So why is looking forward important? Looking forward is important because it's the only way you can seize opportunities and avoid landmines. If you're only looking backwards, or if you're not looking at all, if you have blinders on, you're not going to see those landmines and you're not going to see those opportunities. So let's talk about this for a minute, and I'm going to use the comparison of a flight, okay? In all businesses and on many flights, sometimes it gets dark, sometimes there's a storm forming right ahead of you, you hit turbulence, and you fly through clouds. On the other hand, on other days, you can see for miles and miles of clear sky and scenery. If it's dark at night when you're flying, you can almost touch the stars. There are so many of them there, and they're so clear. And you can glide without effort. Truthfully, if you turned off the engines of that plane, it would glide for a period of time without any effort. And alternatively to turning off the engines and gliding, you can just climb higher and higher and higher and land safely whenever you want to. So let's talk about that. How is it that all that happens? How do we avoid the storms and the turbulence and take advantage of seeing the beautiful night sky and gliding for miles and miles? We do it with a dashboard. Both the pilot does it with a dashboard and we do it with the dashboard. We have to have a dashboard in order to have confidence in what's ahead. Just like that pilot could drive with completely blacked out windows, but because he or she has a dashboard sitting in front of him or her, they can absolutely see everything they need to do to take advantage of the opportunities that are out there and not get taken down by the landmines. So we need a cash dashboard. because it's all about cash in our businesses, but don't overcomplicate it. Don't let this scare you. Our dashboard on cash is nowhere near as complicated as a pilot's dashboard because we all know our bank balance. We decide how much we're going to expect to sell. We decide how much we're going to spend, and then we could predict next week's bank balance and next month's and next year's and so on and so forth. So there are 3 very easy steps to building this cash dashboard that help us take advantage of opportunities and miss the landmine. Step 1, very easy. Get your bank balance. That's it. Go find out what your bank balance is. Now that, of course, means that, yes, I'm recommending, and here's your go-to if you haven't done this yet. Here's your actionable item. Definitely set up a separate checking account for your business. If this is not a hobby, if this is not just a hobby, if this is a business you're running, let's get you set up right now to act like a real business. Get the checking account. Get yourself a business name, a business ID, and get a checking account. It's very easy to do. Every website in every state has exactly what you need to know to be able to do that, and it's not expensive at all. So, you know your bank balance. Step 2, you add to that bank balance how much money you're going to get this month, how many things you're going to sell times how much you're going to sell them for. And backing up from that, you figure out how many leads you need to get in order to sell that much. So that's step 2. Step 3, you subtract how much your cost's going to be. How much is it going to cost you to get the leads that you need? And how much is it going to cost you to provide your product to that many people? That's it, 3 steps. So let's take an example, and let's say we have a goal that at the end of the week we need to build out a new marketing funnel, and we need $2,500 to do that. So let's just walk through very quickly an example that will show us how a cash flow forecast works. So let's start at the beginning of this week, and we have $1,000 in the bank. So that's step 1, we know we have $1,000 in the bank. Well, we know that we're going to sell $5,000 worth of stuff next week. Let's just say that I have a $1,000 course that I sell, and typically every week I sell 5 of them. So I know I'm going to make sales of $5,000. I know that in order to sell that product, I send out $2,500 worth of swag and materials to each of the participants. So each participant, all 5 of them that I sold, are going to get $500 worth of materials. So my money that's going to go out is $2,500. So very simply, I started with 1,000, I added 5, I took off $2,500. At the end of the week, I'm going to have $3,500. Now move over to the right. It's no coincidence that I'm starting next week with, say it with me, $3,500. And let's say the next week I'm expecting that we're going to have $1,500 in sales. It's a little bit of a lighter week. I'm only going to sell 2, and I'm going to discount 1 of them. So I'm only going to get $1,500 in. But it's going to cost me $2,000 to provide that because it just so happens that my insurance bill and my rent is due that same week. So I'm going to start with $3,500. I'm going to add $1,500 in revenue. I'm going to spend $2,000. I'm going to be left with $3,000 at the end of next week. What was my goal again? My goal was to have $2,500 at the end of next week. So it worked like a charm. Yes, I can go ahead and start my spend on building out that funnel. Okay, so that was the 3 things. So just as a reminder, our whole goal is to make finance fun like a rockstar entrepreneur. It doesn't have to be hard, boring, or complicated. You can build and grow a business without going crazy. Confidence in your finances is not a wild goose chase. And after 30 plus years of perfecting the process, we're now making you the beneficiary. So what's your vision, mission, or purpose? I want you to sit back and take a minute. You're here for a reason, you're in business for a reason. What is your vision? What is your purpose? Get that in your head. And now we're going to move on to the next question. Thinking about that mission, can you imagine what it would feel like, how it would affect your life if you never had to worry about having enough money to fund that business? And after what I just showed you, I hope you can see that having business flair could support that vision. If so, My goal today is not to sell you on that. It's not to sell you on the program that brings you F.L.A.R.E. Because quite honestly, it works, plain and simple. I don't have to sell it. There is example after example of it working. And I know 100% that if you let me teach you, it could exponentially transform your business by transforming you into the business owner you're meant to be. So I've got a question for you. You want to know what the real secret is? It's simple. We have a program that's boiled down into entrepreneurs English called the Profit Plan. And it's very simple to learn, implement, and maintain. And I know that once it's fully implemented, because I've seen this happen, a few things are going to follow. One, you're going to laugh at how you used to struggle with your finances. Two, you're going to know where the cash is in your business and how to best use it. You're going to sleep peacefully with your newfound F.L.A.R.E. That's hard to say. It's going to throw open the floodgates to grow your business. You're going to be able to grow your business without worrying. And you're going to start playing business like a grown-up, and it will totally do away with the imposter syndrome. Excuse the spelling error there. And look, these results aren't being pulled out of thin air. I'm basing this on my experience with my clients, and that I've been doing this now since 2012 and implementing it with people as low as 5 figures in revenue and as high as 8 figures in revenue. And watching them relax into their Rockstar financial fun is my greatest joy. They're growing their businesses and they're sleeping peacefully again. But it's important to know that the way this works and the way I know it's successful and what I base it on is that we are very careful to curate only and exactly the right people for each profit plan program. What you see in the background here are some pictures from our last live event at the profit plan program. And you can see from these pictures that the chemistry of the group is absolutely key to the fun that we have, most importantly, but also the depth of the learning and the ability to take this stuff back and have it really work for these entrepreneurs. So the best way for us to see if Profit Plan might be a perfect fit for you is for you and me to roll up our sleeves and get on the phone. Let's have a personalized one-on-one F.L.A.R.E. evaluation. It only takes about half an hour, but there are a few conditions I need to make you aware of. First of all, we only work with a small handful of clients at a time. My job is to make sure that this is not just an effective ride for you, but also a fun ride. And I've got a really good team, but since I work one-on-one with you, and I work in a group with you, and we have a live event, we really have to cap off the number of folks who join us. Second, in addition to having the fun dynamic, we only work with people who we think are going to see results. So I have to know when I talk to you that if you make this investment, you're going to get a return on it. It's going to pay for itself 1, 2, or 3 times over or more. Because if it's not, if we don't both understand that it's going to be that investment for you, then I'm not your best CFO, your best chief financial officer right now. So you've got to have what it takes and really want to step into your F.L.A.R.E. And we have to believe that your business can benefit from it. We both have to believe that. So we've got a very simple application process to find out if this is right for you. Couple things: you need to be ready to believe you can find your business F.L.A.R.E., be open to learn what it takes to be successful, and you have to be ready to have fun actually executing to get the real results. I want you to be my next major case study. I have a ton of wildly profitable success stories, and I am always looking for new ones. I love telling those stories because that's what lights my fire. So here's the deal. First, right underneath this presentation, you need to scroll down and click on the Book a Session with Pam button down below. What that's going to do is open up a simple calendar and let you grab a time on my personal calendar. And when you book that, you and I will, at that scheduled time, have a chat and figure out if you are a good fit for the profit plan. If you think you are, and if I think you are. So profit plan is the blueprint to your F.L.A.R.E. When we have that conversation, one of two things is going to happen. Either, and this is the most likely, you're going to say, okay, this is it. I really want to do it. Profit plan me now. Let's get this thing underway. Or, in which case we'll talk about what to do next. Or you're going to look at it and go, you know, this isn't really what I thought it was. I was hoping for something else. Or I'm going to say that, you know, right now your business isn't really a great fit for this. And under that unlikely scenario, you still get three things, okay? One is you're going to get a free gift that will benefit every business owner. It already has benefited a number. We normally sell it for $397, but you will get it and can put it in use tomorrow in your business. I will send you a free copy of my book, Your First CFO, The Accounting Cure for Small Business Owners. And I'll give you specifically for you at least 3 actionable steps you can take to see progress towards meeting and owning your F.L.A.R.E or your financial inner genius. Okay, so bottom line is those things are free, no strings attached. It'll be my way of saying thanks for trusting me with your valuable time, both in this webinar and on the phone. But that's how confident I am about what I have to teach and show you on this call. You're either going to be totally amazed or you're going to get this almost $400 gift in exchange for your time. So here's the next step. Press the button below this presentation, grab a time on my calendar, and once we receive your info, I'll shoot you a quick email reminding you of the time we're booked, and I'll call you on that day and time. And a really important heads up. This thing is getting viewed by hundreds of people. We've been looking at the statistics, and it's going to keep getting viewed, I'm sure, by the same number of people. And over the next few days, the appointments are going to need to come on a first-come, first-served basis because we are ramping up how many people are looking at this. So with that said, history's shown that the time slots are going to be reserved really fast. So grab a time quickly with that button down below. And I really just want to thank you so much for your time, for scheduling a call. I know you're going to love this. I know we can help you find your business flair. I look forward to talking to you soon. And I just want to kick it off with a view from our last event.
Before I started working with Pam, I was actually feeling a lot of embarrassment around the numbers in my business. My head was stuck in the sand in regards to my finances. I didn't know what was working. I didn't know what wasn't working and how to get where I wanted to go. My business is really new, so I've only been in business for a couple months. I have this money and I have no idea really what that means. Pam has been helping us claim that finance is fun, and I can genuinely say today I'm starting to really feel like finance is fun. Pam really has helped me kind of figure out that stuff, and the products that she gives you with your personalized forecast is amazing because now I can see, oh my gosh, I have made money. Instead of keeping my head down thinking, I think I made money, maybe I can pay myself, I'm just going to keep checking my account all day long to see if there's still money in it. So now I feel like there's been a weight lifted off of me because I know where I'm at and where I'm going. She's taken a lot of time to really get to know my business and understand what my business model looks like, what it can look like. I feel like I'm kind of just absorbing all of it before I kind of build a financial hole for myself. The inclusivity, the group structure, and just, you know, all of the different pieces that we got to experience. I think one of my favorites was probably the hot seats. A hot seat that I've never experienced before. So I've been in other masterminds and I've been in a hot seat, but it wasn't like this. So when I know what my numbers are and what they mean and how I can actually adjust them, I mean, I just feel like the whole world just opened up for me today.
Now I have a totally different insight, and now I want to know more about my own business.
Pam is excellent at taking the complex and making it simple. She just has a presence about her that makes you feel loved and cared for in a safe space. And without Pam, if it was just another finance person, or someone else in accounting, or somebody else to give you advice, I never would have opened up in the way that I did. I never would have listened.
When you get finance working for you, instead of you working for your finances, everything flips on its head and finance is fun.